We came here on March 17th in Rishikesh. We had had a very wonderful program in Rishikesh for over 2 weeks. His Holiness Indradumna Swami Maharaj had organized a festival there. And we were having kirtan with the young Western seekers. And every day about 300 people were coming and participating in kirtan and taking prasadam. And we came back on the 17th of March. And basically since that time, I've not been out of our bagicha, our area here, except 2 times when I went to the bank. But otherwise, I've just been inside and it's been absolutely blissful and wonderful. So I hope that you all are having a good lockdown period as well. And I hope that you're taking advantage of this time to get as much Sangha as you possibly can online. I know for the past couple weeks, I've been having this global pandemic kirtan. There's kirtan going day and night, and it's wonderful. And I know that so many ISKCON leaders and teachers, they're giving classes online. So try to take advantage and get as much Sangha as you possibly can. So now it's 1:30 and we'll chant for just a few minutes. And then I will read a small bit from Chaitanya Bhagavata. Hare Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Sunyavari Aschachare Zitarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Sunyavari Paschachare Zitarine Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Prabhupada Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Can you still hear me over there?
Yes, Maharaj.
Hello?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay, great. Great. So give me just a moment, please. Okay, so we will read a little bit from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavata. And this Chaitanya Bhagavata was compiled by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. And it has been described that Vrindavan Das Thakur is an incarnation of Srila Vyasadeva and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Now, we all know that 5,000 years ago, Ved Vyas was present in the world, and he did such a meritorious service that he took the Veda and he put it in written form, and then he divided it into 4 Veda, and then he divided that into Upanishads and Itihasas and Puranas, and he compiled the Mahabharata. And after, in the mature fruit of his realization, he compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the literature that simply describes Krishna and the activities of Krishna. He compiled the Bhagavatam on the order of his spiritual master, Narada Muni, who told him that only hearing the topics of Krishna will be able to cleanse the heart of the fallen conditioned souls of unwanted qualities and characteristics. And in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, it said, Shinvata Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Vidyantaksto Yabadrani Vidyanoti Satam. That the most pious of all activities is to hear about God and his pastimes. And if we constantly engage in this activity, then everything which is inauspicious within our heart, such as lust and anger and greed and envy, those very bad qualities that are so deeply rooted, they will be pulled out by the roots. And when those qualities are freed from the heart, then we can become situated in goodness. And in goodness, we can enter into meditation upon God, which is our goal of life. So 5,000 years ago, Vyasadeva came and he recorded the activities of Krishna, and he presented those in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then 500 years ago, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this world, Vyasadeva came as Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur. I'm getting a lot of noise on your side. Is something going on?
Maharaj,
Hello?
someone was unmute. Now we have muted them.
Uh-huh. Okay. So Chaitanya Bhagavata is compiled by Vrindavan Das Thakur. He is the Vyasadeva of Chaitanya Lila. And Vrindavan Das Thakur was born in the area of Navadvip in a place called Mamgachi. And his mother's name is Narayani Devi. And Narayani Devi is glorified because when she was just a child of 4 years old, she received special mercy and special favor from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Lord Chaitanya gave his Mahaprasadam, from his plate. And also when Lord Chaitanya revealed his Mahaprakash pastimes in the house of Srinivasacharya, and he showed different forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, she was present and she danced in ecstasy. So Vrindavan Das Thakur is her son. And Vrindavan Das Thakur later moved to a place called Dinduria or Dindula, and he lived there the balance of his life, and his mom stayed in Mamgachi. Vrindavan Das Thakur's spiritual master is Lord Nityananda. And in the beginning of Chaitanya Bhagavata, he spends a lot of time glorifying the greatness of his spiritual master. Explains how he is like the first expansion of Krishna. He explains that they have the same potency. And then he develops the concept of his spiritual master being Anantadev, because one of the manifestations of Balaram is that he's Ananta. And Ananta is way down in the bottom of the universe, past Patala Loka. And he has 1,000 heads. And he appears as a serpent. And just on one of his heads, he is holding all the universes, or all the cosmic manifestations of this universe, just on one head. And with all of his heads, he's constantly singing the glories of Sri Krishna. You know, from the bottom of the universe, there's always kirtan taking place. So he really glorifies his spiritual master and speaks of his spiritual prowess and speaks of his total and absolute devotion to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the same way that Sri Baladev is devoted to Sri Krishna. Then after that, in the first chapter, he speaks about the Lord's activities being divided into 3 divisions, being the Adi Lila, the Madhya Lila, and the Antya Lila, or the beginning, middle, and end of the Lord's pastimes. And then in the second chapter, he takes up the question of why does Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appear? And in essence, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears in this world. Vrindavan Das says there's only one law which governs the appearance of the Lord, because the Lord is independent. And that law that governs him is his own sweet will. So he comes here for the specific business that he describes in the Bhagavad Gita. And we know that in Bhagavad Gita says, Yada Yada Yadharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata and Parittanaya Sadhanam Vinashaya Chatuskrita. So the Lord comes for that reason. He comes to reestablish principles of Dharma. He comes when Dharmasya Glani, when human society has just stopped following the natural laws of the universe that have been given by the Lord himself. And then why Pattanaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chaduskritam? He comes here to protect his pious devotees. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Vrindavan Das Thakur, they give a very interesting perspective on that statement of Parittanaya Sadhunam. Because generally we think of the Lord coming to protect in the sense of, say, Lord Narasimhadev coming to protect Prahlad Maharaj from his demonic father Hiranyakasipu. But both Vrindavan Das Thakur and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta in his commentary, they explain that the Lord, he appears to protect the devotees from the agony of separation that the devotees are feeling from him. Meaning the Lord understands how distressed his devotees are that they can't be with him, or he understands that due to their state of advancement in Krishna consciousness, they are experiencing Vipralambha, or the deep fire of separation from Krishna. So he comes to deliver them from that distress of not being able to see his lotus feet and not being able to engage in his service. And then, Paritanaya sadhanam vinashaya chaduskritam. And he also comes to punish the wicked, or to punish the miscreants. And they both, Vrindavan Das and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, they make it very apparent that when Krishna, in any of his manifestations, he comes to chastise the evil or the miscreants in society, he's actually showing them mercy, that they will, they will receive liberation from the Lord's hands, and they will give up their sinful way of life. He made an interesting point. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he quoted both Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his comments on this verse. And both Vishwanath and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they're in just paraphrasing the words of Sri Krishna. And Lord Krishna, he's talking about his incarnations. And there he said, I appear in every species of life. He said, do not think that I appear only in the human species of life, but I appear in animal species of life, and I appear amongst the low-born humans. I appear amongst the Malechas and Yavanas. He explains that sometimes I will come as a Shaktivesh avatar, or an empowered devotee, in order to protect whatever little religious understanding sinful people may possess. I would just come to protect that so they don't lose it 100%. And then I will also give them the proper path by which they can be lifted up. And this is really how kind Krishna is, that he wants to make sure that everybody has an opportunity for coming to his lotus feet. We've heard so many times in Srila Prabhupada's lectures, and we've read so many times in Srila Prabhupada's books, that Srila Prabhupada says when the living entity finds himself under the influence of the illusory energy of the Lord, coming within the grasp of the three modes of material nature, and being under the Maya Shakti of Krishna, he thinks that he is the Lord of matter. And he just wants to exploit the resources of this material world for his enjoyment, but consequently, he always becomes caught in the complexities of matter. And perfect cases at hand is the situation that we have now throughout the world with this COVID-19 epidemic. We see that for so long time, man has just been raping nature, exploiting nature just for his gain. or just to satisfy his spirit of consumerism. Like 2 weeks ago, we were reading how so many deaths were taking place in New York City. And I think now in America, they have something like 1 million cases of COVID-19, and they've had over 70,000 deaths. America has 1/5 of the population of the world, but they consume 25% of whatever is produced in the world. So we have this enjoying spirit, and we try to exploit nature, but we just get caught in the complexities of nature. Um, so he says, I come. I will present myself as a Shaktivesh avatar, an empowered living being, in order to take those people and whatever small bit of religious sentiment they have, I will protect that, and then I will give them the proper path. And he says, but I prefer to actually appear in Bharat Varsha. I prefer to appear in India. And in all of my Leela avatars and my Yuga avatars, I always come to India because in that place, people strictly follow the culture of Varnashram Dharma. And because people are cultured, I appear there. So, yeah, and then in conclusion, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, the Lord, he appears by his sweet will. He has his preferences of how and when he will appear. But then Bhaktivinoda says, we should very, very clearly understand that whatever grace we as living beings receive from the Lord, it is only coming from the mercy of Vaishnavas who shared the mercy of the Lord with us. And it's a real principle that we should understand that whatever we have in Krishna consciousness, whatever understanding that we've cultivated in Krishna consciousness, is simply due to grace of Vaishnavas. I don't think that we should ever become distracted thinking I'm such a great scholar, or that I'm such a great preacher, or I'm such a great anything, but we have become recipients of mercy of Vaishnavas. You know, in one of my other classes that I've been giving online, maybe it was the Chaitanya Bhagavata class, I'm not sure, sometime I was speaking online. I brought up one instance of one of my godbrothers was speaking to Srila Prabhupada, and you know, Prabhupada left this world 43 years ago. So it means all of us were very young at that time. And this young devotee was with Prabhupada, and he was so happy to be with Prabhupada. And this devotee was thinking aloud with Srila Prabhupada, and he was saying, Srila Prabhupada, what type of pious activity have I engaged in to be able to have your association and to have the devotional service of Krishna? And Srila Prabhupada, he smiled and he said, you've done nothing pious. He said, I alone am creating your good fortune. So this really gives us a perspective of how fortunate we are that we have had the association of Vaishnavas, and how we should be so careful in the association of Vaishnavas that we never allow our tongue to say anything bad about a Vaishnava. We should never allow our mind to think anything bad about a Vaishnava. And we should never allow our bodies to act in any type of negative way to Vaishnavas. It's so important, very, very important. There's one nice story, and I think that it's told in the Bhakti Ratnakar. And it's the story of Rupa Goswami, one of the eternally perfect disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the younger brother of Sanatan Goswami, when they were living here in Vrindavan. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met them, they were engaged in the service of Nawab Hussain Shah, who was then the emperor of Bengal. One was the prime minister and one was in charge of the treasury. They were originally Carnatic Brahmins who had migrated to the east, and in taking service with Hussain Shah, they adopted the ways of Hussain Shah and all of their colleagues. And they heard the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they wanted to be Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's disciples. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went there and he delivered them. And when he delivered them, he told them specifically, I will give you service. I want you to go to Vrindavan, because in Vrindavan now all the places of Krishna's Leela had become covered over and forgotten. I want you to reestablish that. And he said, also, I want you to write books describing the science of bhakti. So they did that. And they came here and they chanted Hare Krishna purely. Each and every one of us know that there's the offensive stage of chanting where we chant in ignorance. There is the clearing stage where we're not creating offenses, but we're not chanting purely. Then there's the pure state of chanting. Pure state of chanting, the fruit of that is love of God, Krishna prema. So when they would chant Hare Krishna, they would chant with prema. And because their hearts were pure, when they would chant, they would see the pastimes of Krishna taking place. Srila Prabhupada describes in the Nectar of Devotion that it was just like they had switched on a television. And by switching on the television, they could see Krishna's activities taking place. So one day, Rupa Goswami was sitting in his bhajan and he was chanting. And while he was chanting, he was seeing one Leela of Krishna. It was very beautiful and it was very humorous. And what the Leela consisted of is he saw Sri Radha, and she was reaching up to a tree to try to pick flowers for Krishna. But the flowers were just a little bit beyond her reach. So Krishna, being the clever fellow that he is, he climbed up in the tree unseen by Sri Radha, and he pushed the branch down. And Sri Radha, then she grabbed the branch and she started to pick the flowers. And then Sri Krishna let the branch go and Sri Radha flew up to the air. So when Rupa Goswami saw that, he started laughing. And he was deeply absorbed in samadhi. But even his state of samadhi, he started laughing out loud. And just at that moment when he was laughing out loud, one older sadhu came by. And that sadhu, he was very old and he had a very deformed type hunchback body. He was very bent over. And as soon as he was walking by, Rupa started laughing. And so the sadhu, he said, why is he laughing at me? He's laughing at me because I'm deformed. He doesn't understand my situation. And the sadhu, he became offended. And when he became offended, Rupa Goswami, he lost his spiritual vision and his power to see the pastimes of Krishna. So Rupa was naturally very distressed. And he went to his elder brother, Srila Sanatan Goswami, and he explained the situation that was taking place. And Sanatan told him, this is easy to understand. He said, the power of your bhajan has decreased because you have offended the Vaishnava. And when Rupa said that, how is it I've offended a Vaishnava? He said, I've not even spoken to anyone. And certainly I don't think ill about anyone. Sanatana Goswami said, you offended a Vaishnava. And then Rupa, because he was so distressed, he said, how can I find out who is the Vaishnava that I've offended? And Sanatan said, I will give you a way to find out. He said, you just organize a feast for all the sadhus, and you have somebody prepare nice preparations and Mahaprasad, and you invite the sadhus of Vrindavan. And if anyone doesn't come, that's the person that you offended. And so Rupa Goswami followed his advice, and he did that. And sure enough, that elderly sadhu didn't come. And so Rupa Goswami immediately went to that elderly sadhu and bowed down to his lotus feet. And he said, I must have offended you, but I don't know what I did. And then the elderly sadhu told him the situation that he was walking by, and Rupa started laughing at him. And then Rupa said, but the actual situation is I was seeing the Leela of Krishna. I didn't even know you were there. And then they both started to bow down and apologize to one another. But this is the actual, effect of thinking ill about Vaishnavas. Rupa didn't even say anything. He didn't think anything. But the other Vaishnava, he was thinking, oh my goodness, he's laughing at me. Or there's another instance in, I think it is Madhurya Kadambini, where Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he's giving us instruction on how we should perceive, devotees and perceive Vaishnavas. And he says that if we see a Vaishnava, we should always be so positive and so enthusiastic, and we should say kind words to the devotee. He says, if we ever see a Vaishnava and we feel distressed that we're seeing a devotee coming, you can know for certain that your consciousness is not correct. That you're not understanding that here we have an eternal spiritual being who's part and parcel of Krishna, and he is just living out his activities according to the combination of material nature, but he's engaged in the service of his spiritual master. If we don't see that, but we start to think ill about people, then our spiritual advancement will become curtailed. So here, Vrindavan Das Thakur, he says, or Srila Bhaktivinoda, in the end of that commentary, he said, we should know for certain, very, very clearly, that any advancement that we will ever have in our Krishna consciousness is due to the grace and to the mercy of the Vaishnavas. And we should always be very, very thankful for that. We should never allow our heads, we should never allow our egos to start to become inflated, to think that, chronologically, I've been practicing for so many years, or shastrically, I know so much, or managerially, I can do so much. But we should always remember, I am simply the effect of the mercy of Vaishnavas. And I was listening to Srila Prabhupada this morning as I was preparing for my puja. And Prabhupada himself brought up that verse, Tadada Charana Seva Bhakti Sanivas, Janame Janami Hoy Eabilas, which is a line from a bhajan by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. And Prabhupada said, this is our only business. He said, our business is just to stay in the association of Vaishnavas and serve the feet of Vaishnavas, birth after birth. He said, Prabhupada kept repeating, we don't care about going back to Goloka Vrindavan. Can you imagine? Prabhupada was saying like that. We don't care about going to Goloka Vrindavan. He was saying, that's Krishna's business. If Krishna becomes satisfied with us, then Krishna will take us back to the spiritual world. He said, that shouldn't be our driving objective. Our driving objective should just be Tadara Charana Seva Bhakti Sanivas Janame Janame Hoy E Abhilas. To stay in the association of pure devotees and engage in the service of their lotus feet. And we just do that. We chant and dance with gratitude and love in the association of Vaishnavas. We hear the katha of Krishna with gratitude in the association of Vaishnavas. And if Krishna becomes pleased, and if Krishna wants to take us to the spiritual sky, Krishna can do that. But our business is just serve the feet of the Vaishnavas with love, birth after birth after birth. So, after this Puritanaya Sadhunam and Yadahi Dahi Dharmasya, he explains that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he comes to this world to spread Harinam Sankirtan, so that all the fallen souls can become delivered. And then naturally, quoting so much Shastra, where it's said that whatever one achieves by meditation in Satya Yuga, by puja, by jagya in Treta Yuga and Dwapara Yuga, that is achieved in Kali Yuga through performing the sacrifice of the chanting of the holy name. We understand from Bhagavad Gita that the consciousness of the living being will be purified when we perform jagya. And for this age, the jagya is Sankirtan. And also he cited the verse from the Bhagavatam. I'm having one of my senior moments now, but it's the verse that everybody in the world knows, and I can't remember now. Well, anyhow, he concludes by saying, Sumedha Shaha, that if anybody has proper intelligence, they will worship, Krishna Varnam, Tvisa Krishnam, Sangapangastra Parshadam, Jagnai Sankirtan Praya, Jajantihi Sumedha Shaha. Krishna Varnam, Tvisa Krishnam. He's of the same category as Krishna, but he's not black like Krishna. And then Sangapangastra Parshadam. And in this way, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta explains that he comes with his limbs, he comes with different associates, he comes with his weapons, and he all describes this within the beautiful body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then he says, Jagnai Sankirtan Prayera. So the worship of that incarnation for Kali Yuga is done through the performance of Sankirtan Jagya. And then he concludes by saying, Jajantihi Sumedha Shaha. If a person is intelligent, then they will worship by the performance of Sankirtan. So Vrindavan Das Thakur, he says he comes and he presents the religion of the age, which is Harinam Sankirtan. And then prior to his coming, he has all of his devotees come, devotees from the spiritual world, devotees who are playing with Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan and in the pastimes that we read about in Srimad Bhagavatam. They also take birth as devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Chaitanya Lila, and they're born in different places. And Vrindavan Das Thakur, he says some of them are born in pious places, and some of them are born in impious places. Impious places means where the Ganga doesn't flow. And whatever place they take birth there as devotees just to purify people. to purify the place, and to purify individuals who live there. This is the power of Vaishnavas. There's one reference that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta gives, or Vrindavan Das Thakur gives earlier, I think in the first chapter. It says that whenever a pure Vaishnav appears, everyone within 800,000 miles becomes purified. So powerful is the association of Vaishnav. So here he says that the devotees of the Lord are equal to him, and they appear in impious places and impious families in order to deliver everyone. And I think that what we'll do is we'll just read this purport. Because it speaks about Vaishnavas, and we should have such great respect and love for Vaishnavas. So text 49, it says, the Lord had his devotees who were equal to him appear at impious places and in impious families in order to deliver everyone. So in the purport, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says, the term Shochakule is explained as follows. Pious people are not affected by low birth because they are born in pure families. Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras, and Tyajas are progressively more impious. Fruitive workers are born in impious families due to sinful activities, but Vaishnavas who are engaged in the service of Lord Vishnu are as good as Vishnu. They are able to purify all sorts of impious countries and families. In the Shastra, it is stated, in whatever family a Vaishnava appears, his family, his mother, his birthplace, and residence become purified, and his forefathers dance in the heavens. So this is like the power of the appearance of devotees in this world. And we can think, and also it's stated that when a Vaishnav appears in this world, even if he appears in a demonic family, he will purify so many generations of that family just by his appearance. For example, in the Bhagavatam, we have the history of Prahlad Maharaj. And Prahlad, he appeared in the family of Hiranyakasipu. But just by his appearance in the family of Hiranyakasipu, 20 generations of forefathers were delivered. And by Prahlad's grace, his father was delivered also. There's that chapter where Narasimhadev, he wants Prahlad to ask for some benediction. And Prahlad, he's a fully surrendered devotee. And Prahlad says, but my dear Lord, I don't need anything. How can I take a benediction? I don't need anything. He said, I understand that you're the best of the benediction givers, but I have you. And I have your holy names. And I have your service. Therefore, I don't need anything. And he said, but you're tempting me. He said, I understand you're tempting me because you know that I was born in a family of demons and that I have demons' blood running inside my veins. And he said, but you shouldn't tempt me because if you give me something, I will use it the wrong way. And basically the Lord was saying, please don't speak that way because I can understand who you are. Ask for a benediction. And then Prahlad Maharaj, he asked for the benediction, not for himself, but for his father. And he told the Lord, he said, he said, I understand that you give mercy to everyone. He said, but I also understand that you're not very favorable to people who mistreat your devotees. I understand, yes, you're equal to everyone. Uh, and Krishna explains that in the Bhagavad Gita. I'm equal to everyone. He said, but when you see that people are bad to your devotees, you withhold your mercy. And he said, and my dad was really bad to me. He tried to hurt me in so many ways. He said, therefore, I wish, if I'm going to ask something, I wish that you will please give liberation to my father. And when the Lord Nrsimhadev heard that, he said, Kalas, he said, it is done. Don't worry about that. So here it says that Vaishnavas who are engaged in the service of Lord Vishnu are as good as Vishnu. They were able to purify all sorts of impious countries and families. And in the Shastra, it is said that whenever a Vaishnava appears, his family, mother, birthplace, and residence become purified, and his forefathers dance in heaven. Such a wonderful thing, the Vaishnavas. We should always give our love and our respect to all of the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. The word apana samana indicate that Vaishnavas are the spiritual master of the entire world and inconceivably one and different from Lord Krishna. They represent the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, the supreme absolute truth, and they personify the syllable Omkar. So such a big description is given of the pure devotees of the Lord. It says that they are simultaneously one and different with Krishna, meaning they're different, but they're one, and that they have dedicated their mind, their body, their words, whatever they have, in full surrender to Krishna. Just like our Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has written in Sharanagati, he has said, Manasa deho geho jo kichumor, arapila tu apadi Nanda Kishore. Nanda Kishore, I've given everything to you. I become your fully surrendered devotee. Manasa, my mind, Deha, my body, Geha, my house, it is all yours. I give it to you in your devotional service. Please just engage me however you will. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was so humble that he said, I've offered everything to you. He said, my home is not a home to engage in sense gratification. My home is a home for devotional service. It has become a bhakti kutir. That's all that what will go on in my home. Only bhakti, nothing else. And he said, Lord, he said, I wish to build a moat around my house. And in that moat, I have a moat there to keep out all dangerous and evil dacoits like, gyanis and karmis and yogis. He said, keep my house pure, O Lord. And at one point he says, and Lord, you make me, the watchdog of your house so that only bhakti will go there. So fully surrendered devotees, fully surrendered souls to the will of the Lord. He said, they represent the supreme absolute truth. He said, even they personify the supreme syllable Omkar, which is non-different than the supreme personality of Godhead. Through the Vaishnavas, Sri Krishna delivers the conditioned souls whose aversion to Hari is born from accepting materialistic varnashram and caste consciousness. Through the Vaishnavas, we will be delivered by Sri Krishna. And here he says they accepted materialistic varnashram, and I think that according to the thinking process of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur at the time of his writing, something like 85 years ago, when he's speaking about materialistic varnashram, he simply means the caste system in India. Chaturbarna Maya Shishtam Gunakama Vibhagasha. Now, this is established by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, but in Kali Yuga we have the perverted varnashram, not the pure varnashram that's been presented by the Lord. And caste consciousness. So he says materialistic varnashram and caste consciousness. That is why Vaishnav Shastra, it says, one who receives a mantra from a guru who is a non-devotee or who is addicted to sense enjoyment is doomed to a life in hell. Such a person must immediately approach a genuine Vaishnava guru and again accept the mantra from him. Other than pure Vaishnavas, no one can act properly as an acharya. And that's a very powerful point there also, because we see so many people today throughout the world. They act as acharya, but they have no true spirit of loving devotional service and surrender to Krishna. We know that Krishna's final statement in Bhagavad Gita is Sarvadhamam Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Abandon all other dharmas and surrender your soul exclusively to me. And many times, Srila Prabhupada was approached about, very famous people at that time who were seen as saintly personalities, acharyas, great spiritual teachers. And Srila Prabhupada would simply say, do they follow the principles of Bhagavad Gita? Is their conclusion bhakti? And if their conclusion is fully giving one's soul to the Supreme Soul, then we can accept that person as being an acharya. So here he says that other than pure Vaishnavas, anyone other than a pure Vaishnava is a conditioned soul who suffers the results of his karma. But Vaishnavas are transcendental worshippers of Vishnu who have conquered the illusory energy, and therefore they are as good as Lord Vishnu. They are liberated souls, situated in pure goodness beyond the three modes of material nature. They are eternal associates of Lord Vishnu and capable of protecting the conditioned souls from the covering and throwing potencies of Maya. So we know that Krishna Bahir Mukhaji Bhagavan Chakari, that we are Jiva Shakti, we are Tatastha Shakti, we are spiritual potency. Srila Prabhupada said that Tatastha means border. So our original position has been on the border between the spiritual existence and material existence. And somehow, unfortunately, we became attracted to the material energy and we turned our face away from Krishna. And then Maya caught us, and then she threw us into the material energy. and she covered us over. And we have been there since immemorial time. Sometimes up, life of Brahma, sometimes down, one-celled living being, constantly riding the waves of material nature, trying to enjoy. Sometimes going up very, very high on a wave, and sometimes getting smashed right down to the bottom. We're covered. And the uncovering process is to hear from Vaishnavas and faithfully serve Vaishnavas and never to offend Vaishnavas. Okay. They are eternal associates of Lord Vishnu and capable of protecting the conditioned souls from covering and throwing potencies of Maya by their instructions in sadhana bhakti. Now, Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's the verse, Erupa Brahmande Brahmete Kona Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bija. Says that by the grace of Krishna and by the grace of the spiritual master, the seed of the Bhakti Lata is placed within the heart of the living being. And in the purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada explains that seed of the Bhakti Lata, of the creeper of devotion, is the process of sadhana bhakti yoga, by which we can fully understand sambandha, our relationship with the Lord, avideya, the process of approaching the Lord, and prayojan, what is the goal of life. And we as devotees, we should be very interested in that. Sambandha, I have a relationship with Krishna. Understanding what is our relationship with Krishna. What is the process of cultivating that relationship with Krishna? And then, taking a look through the eyes of the Shastra and through the words of saints and sadhus and our spiritual masters to see what is the life of the spiritual world where we aspire one day to go. It's more than just a matter of thinking that one day something automatic is going to happen to us as devotees, but we have to make efforts. Just like all of you who are listening to this today, you're all professional people. And to get to wherever you've gotten in your profession, you've had to make a lot of efforts. Most of you who are listening today are all family people. And you've had to raise your kids. And you've had to keep your kids pointed in the right direction and impart in them the right samskars to get them to where they're supposed to go in life. So in the same way, to go to Krishna's lotus feet, we really have to make serious efforts in terms of the practice of sadhana bhakti yoga. People other than Vaishnavas reject the service of Vishnu and they serve Maya, thus accepting temporary material objects as the controller. So people who don't accept devotional service, they think that this Maya world is the reality, and I'm the controller of my destiny, or I'm the controller of the situation that I'm in. The illusion of this world. But in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Prakrite kriyamanani, gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara mura makartahaniti manyate. Krishna there, he says that everything going on in this world is taking place under the direction of the material nature. Prakrite kriyamanani, gunai karmani sarvasha. Ahankar bimuda makartahamiti manyate. And if we unfortunately feel that we are the karta, then we're a very foolish living being. We should understand that everything is going on by the material nature, and we're just an eternal spiritual soul. 1/10,000th of the tip of a hair that's just caught in this ocean of the three modes of material nature. And according to our past desires, the material nature is arranging all these things to happen, which are going on in our lives. Therefore, our business is to desire correctly, and that is to desire only pure devotional service, the intelligence to serve our spiritual masters, and the intelligence to serve Vaishnavas. Okay, then Vrindavan Das Thakur says, in whatever place or family a Vaishnava appears, people for hundreds of thousands of miles around are all delivered. Wherever the Vaishnavas go, that place becomes a sanctified place of pilgrimage. Yeah. And here he says, out of humility, the great devotees of Swan-like Vaishnavas consider themselves impure. And they play the role of visiting holy places to purify themselves, just to deceive the materialistic people, while in fact, they purify the holy places. Yeah, so wonderful. So therefore, Lord Chaitanya had his devotees, Vaishnavas, appear in different places. So I guess I'll wrap it up here. Vrindavan Das Thakur has spoken so beautifully about the devotees of the Lord and how we should see the devotees of the Lord. And I really think also, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wanted all of his devotees to follow proper Vaishnava sadachar. So all of us, we should try to embody those qualities. We should take the responsibility to hear about the practices of Vaishnavas, see the mentality of Vaishnavas, see the pure methods of the way that senior Vaishnavas appreciate one another and love one another and respect one another. And we should incorporate that into our lives, and we should act that same way in relationship to others. Tadiya Vaishnav Seva Nishtara Payati Keva. No one could go to the spiritual world without serving the lotus feet of Vaishnavas. And again, Tadara Charana Seva Bhakta Sanivas Janame Janame Hoy Eyabhilas. If Krishna wants me to go to the spiritual world, I go to the spiritual world. If Krishna wants me to stay here, I stay here. But my only business is to associate with Vaishnavas, associate with the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and dance in their association, chant in their association, hear Krishna Katha in their association, and live happily and peacefully forever. Okay, thank you very much. I think I've taken too much of your time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so very much. It was absolutely wonderful, nectar flowing for all of us. We really thank you. We didn't feel the time, honestly speaking. And we also know that you have another, session on the Facebook now. So on that note, and I wish to mention, Maharaj, for all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, that this is also a special gift to His Grace Jugal Prabhu and Her Grace Keshori Mataji on their 32nd marriage anniversary day. So I also wish to, congratulate them and very happy that we could have Maharaj, though we didn't know it, we just came to know. So these are, I personally feel these are special blessings we're getting from Maharaj. So thank you, Maharaj, again. Thank you, all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who have, attended this online satsang. And we hope and we pray that we can have many more with Maharaj like this and have his association. So thank you very much, Maharaj, again. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhu.
Kripa Sindhu Pyacha Paridanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo.
Prabhu,
And
darshan of deities.
yeah, you can have darshan. Hold on.
So everyone, um, yeah,
I don't really know how to do this, and Shiv Charan is not here. I will just try to come close here. I can't even, in this little screen, I can't even see what's going on. Here's Giriraj Maharaj, Giriraj Govardhan Shila, but I can't even see there. This little screen is so small, I don't know how to make the screen larger, but there's Giriraj Maharaj.
see Giriraj Maharaj very, very clearly. Beautiful.
Yep.
Hare
Here is Radha Govinda. Here is Srimati Radharani.
Jai.
Jai Jai Shri Radhe. And this beautiful dress was made by my disciple Jai Radhe. And every day, the devotees in Vrindavan, they're making these beautiful garlands for my deities. And here is Govinda. With his beautiful turban and his beautiful dress. And here is Dhyanatai Gaurachandra. And here is Lord Chaitanya. Jai Gaura Haribol. And here is Lord Jai Nitai. And here is Petit Pavan Jagannath Dev. And here is Panchatattva. And here is Shad Goswami. And here is the entire altar, I hope, because that dialogue is so small I can't see. Okay, thank you all very much. I think
Maharaj.
it's 2:30 now,
Yes.
and I'm going to be Facebook Live and Insta Live in an hour with a little kirtan and then more Chaitanya Bhagavata if any of you Vaishnavas wish to tune in.